Hi there. This is Catherine, and I am Lipedema Simplified, Lipedema Project founder, and Lipedema advocate and patient. And um, yeah, and I'm here to talk today. I always, um, I always have an ear towards what people are sending me. I get a lot of emails and phone calls and text messages. And and there are themes that seem to emerge from the community. And the theme that I want to talk about today is one that I've personally been going through, which is that I am way post menopause. I've had an increase in pain, which I've thankfully been able to manage with the help of Brian Hayward and the CBD. So that's been helpful, but still there's was an increase in pain. There's been an increase in swelling. Um, there's been an increase in volume. There's been an increase in my weight. There's an increase. Wait a second, it's supposed to be going the other way. There's been an increase because of travel, which I'm going to talk about a lot more at the event that we have coming up, with some significant lymphatic flare up. So I could go on and on and on. And if you're identifying with me in any way, shape, or form, please let me know. It's always good to know that I'm not alone. Hi, Marilee. Hi, Cheryl. So good to have you ladies here. And why am I talking about this? Because, you know, I got into this whole thing looking for solutions, and I have found so many solutions. There's so many things that we can do to help. And I'm 74. I say that a lot. It's like I don't know it already. I know it. I'm definitely what they call in my elder years. But the reason that I'm talking about it is that it's so easy to slip into depression, to slip into despair, to slip into anger and feeling like, why the hell? I mean, I do everything right. And the truth is, during the pandemic, I wear my compression very infrequently, especially since I've had a lymphedema flare up. And I don't know always what to do, and the doctors don't know anything. And it's like this incredible circus, the circus, my lymphatic circus. Welcome to my lymphatic circus. So, so I want to say that I'm not quite sure why, and I'm not quite sure how, but I ended up rather than diving into the feelings of powerless and overwhelm and despair that I have been in and out of for years. I hit it, but then I jump out of it. And sometimes I'm in it much longer than I want to be. But instead, I have been feeling so profoundly grateful, is what it comes down to. When I look at my life, and I invite you to do the same, um, I didn't know I had lipedema, yet somehow I found a food plan that kept my lipedema at bay for 27 years until I had hit perimenopause. So I was able to manage it without knowing that I was managing it. And I think that's a gift from a higher power. And I was so amazed with all of the things that had happened without my conscious awareness of them that were helpful in this whole journey. When I think of finding lipedema in way back in 2011, just finding the name lipedema in Professor Foldy's book and having a name for it. And I remember walking around my apartment here, my home, and I remember that's how I kept looking in the mirror and saying, "You mean it's not your fault? I always thought it was your fault. How is it not your fault?" Anyway, so I had brunch today with old friends, very old friends from the 80s, from the 1980s. It's so amazing, from the 1980s. And we, of course, we know each other for years, and we all worked together in a corporate environment. It was the most wonderful corporate environment that, I mean, when you think of corporate, when I think of corporate, I think of nowadays, but back in the 80s and 90s and even into the early 2000s. So I was a consultant at Polaroid, and I had brunch today with the woman who hired me and one of her colleagues that was very closely tied into my work and everything. He was in HR, human resources, from way back then. And oh my God, what an amazing conversation. So Penny and I have been in touch all these years. It's been, we were scheduled to have lunch right before the pandemic broke. And so we had to change our lunch date. And it took us a few years through all the pandemic and everything. And eventually, a few weeks ago, we finally got together. And it had been almost 3 years. And Wally, who is the HR guy from my old friend, I hadn't seen in much longer than that. And what a blessing. And I started to think about how many people in my life have been have played a crucial role. Wh- who was in my life at the right time, at the right place, and was able to support me in a way that when I look back on it, I still feel just profound gratitude. Hi, Mary. Hi, Julie. Right. Julie says, young people don't even know what Polaroid is. Yep, that's true. We were instant photography before digital. And people at Polaroid, that's what tanked the company was digital photography. You don't need all of the accoutrements that Polaroid provided. Hi, Karen. Nice to see you. Um, but what? I love my wow, what a ride. What a ride. And I was talking about the way that I got the job at Polaroid was the weirdest set of circumstances. I was telling, I went into the story in more detail as we were having brunch today. And it's a long story. Everything I do is a long story. I'm a storyteller and I love stories. So I could go on and on and on. Suffice to say that it was a very circuitous route that when I look back on it, I'm like, all right, this was magic. A friend of mine used to call stuff like this HPFM. And when I asked her, she would say, hocus pocus freaking magic. And she was a boss of mine at one point in high tech. And so, and when people would ask her how she would fix the computers and all that, that's what she would say. It's HPFM. And I feel like so much of our lives are HPFM. And it's like through this through this miasma of the healthcare system and nobody knowing much about our disorders and having to figure it out and going this way and that way. I traveled in November and came back with a significant flare up. And, even though I've been through test after test after test, I'm still left on my own to figure it out. And I think I'm trying this whole citizen science, um, which we're going to be talking about in way more depth at the upcoming conference. This whole idea that we are our own, um, we are our own laboratory. We have to start talking to our bodies, asking what's going to work, trying things out with, you know, in moderation. So I'm having a ball. Um, and Hi, Tina. Nice to see you. So I want to say we're having another webinar. Well, a couple of things. One, if you haven't signed up for our upcoming conference event, it's actually an event. Let me put the link for you. Here it is. Learn.lipedema-simplified.org/lymphedema-event. So go there. For the next couple of days, Akanksha set it up. We had a webinar this weekend. So we had the early bird special. So it's marked down from $297 to $97. And there's a bonus, but it's only, I think the bonus ends tomorrow. But here it is. A fresh take on lipedema and lymphedema solutions, our heart-to-heart collaborative 3-day virtual community event, March 31st, April 1st, and 2nd. So there's that information. So please, I just don't want you to miss it because we're really going to be diving into this whole notion of how we can learn to adapt what's needed for our own bodies. We are each unique. And we have a free webinar coming up. Another free webinar. We have 2 more times we're getting together before the event. One is a free webinar on pain management. And that one is, here's the information for that one. It's learn.lipedema-simplified.org/free-webinar. And this is the one on pain management, and it's March 13th. And then we have an open Q&A session. Leslyn and Siobhan and Gail and I will be answering any questions. We've done this before, like a town hall, but we want to make sure that everyone who can comes to the event because it's going to really be, there hasn't been one like it. It's with really a lot of community engagement, wonderful speakers, and very workshop oriented. So you'll be learning things that you can do right away. So I want to go back to gratitude because I'm always like on the fence of how much to share. So when I came home from South Carolina in November, I had flown 2 flights down and 2 flights back, which means um, 8 instances of extremes in bariatric pressure. What for most people could be, gee, I'm swollen, it's going to take a few days to go away. For me, it was extreme. And there was a scare in my blood work, so they had me in the emergency room within hours of landing in Logan. My D dimer went sky high. The potential for a pulmonary embolism was very real. And I was sitting in the emergency room, and there's always this moment of, what if this is it? What if this is it? And a, a couple of things. One is, I don't have any regrets. I mean, I've had a fabulous life and I've had the most amazing experience within this community. So I'm like, well, okay, if it is it, I'm ready. It's okay. And then I'm just putting the link to the event again in case you want to jot it down and come. Um, so the first thing at 12 or 1 in the morning was calling one of my dearest friends. She's actually presenting at the conference this year, and giving her the password to my computer. If anything happens, if I don't make it out of this hospital, please be sure to get all the lipedema stuff to who needs to get it, and giving her that information. I couldn't reach her, but God bless good friends. She called me back at 4 a.m. I was still in the ER. I was still like, oh, thank God, here's all the information. And we just laughed and laughed and laughed. And it was just so funny. And the thing that only thing I could say again and again is, again, I'm so grateful. I've had the most amazing life. I've met the most amazing people. The lipedema ladies are amazing, and I've gotten an opportunity to do all of that. Hi, Suzanne. Suzanne's from South Africa. She's been part of our community for a number of years. It's so good to see you. So, and then when I came home, let me see if I can get us there. I came home and almost by magic, I'm going to share my screen because it is, if I can, yeah, here it is. This was on my, this is one of my wallpapers. And I just thought it was so, like, it was a message from the universe. Okay, I am going to do this. I'm going to share this. You're going to see this, and I'm going to close this out so you can see what's behind it. You should be seeing, this is like a little card that I had gotten, I don't even know how long ago, over 20 years ago, maybe 30, for a long time ago. And it says, here's the test to determine whether your mission on Earth is finished. If you're alive, it isn't. And this has somehow had found its way from my folder on my computer. I mean, it was on one of my wallpapers, but that's what came up on my screen when I came home from the emergency room. And I thought to myself, I get it. Whatever's left, bring it on, because life is so full of opportunities. Now, mind you, I can be up and down like a roller coaster. I have my days of pain and despair and all of the rest that we share. But boy, these days when I can say I am so grateful. So I just want to say I am very grateful for you. For those of you who keep coming, there's a handful, I'm just so grateful to you because you keep me doing this. I wouldn't do it if nobody showed up. And so enough people show up, so I keep doing this. So I love you. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, night, and I will see you very soon. Bye.